Hello everybody and welcome back to the PSS podcast. As usual, this week I'm joined by Anita Plant, the CEO of the charity.
Hello everybody.
And I'm joined by Nickie Johnson, the Mental Health and Wellbeing Practitioner.
Hello.
Okay, so we thought we'd just get back together in the new year and have a quick conversation, get us back in the swing of things, talking about symbol items and the importance and practical uses of them. So Anita, can we just start explaining what symbol we use and the history behind it as well?
So you may be aware of the shaded eye symbol. So some years ago, the charity decided to do some research into what did people think would be a symbol that would indicate partial sight. Because most people have got some level of vision and they actually are not totally blind but are partially sighted. And it was felt that there needed to be some kind of symbol in recognition of the fact that I'm partially sighted, which is a very different animal to being blind. So the charity worked with, I think it was Manchester University, and they went out on the streets and did some market research and showed people different symbols, and one of which is the shaded eye symbol that is quite well known today. And that was the one that got the most sort of thumbs up. So we adopted that, the charity adopted that as its logo with the words part of the Partially Sighted Society, and it became the recognised symbol of partial sight, and it was adopted at the time by the European branch of the World Health Foundation as an international symbol of sight loss or partial sight. So following on from that, the charity decided that to incorporate that into different ways to indicate to others the fact that you can't see. And it initially started just as a little round badge with the symbol, the eye symbol on, but people felt that didn't mean anything. People thought that perhaps they'd just given to a charity type. It was one of those charity badges. It didn't actually say anything to anybody else about what the wearer, the condition of the wearer wearing the badge. So actually when I joined the charity, I did a little bit of research, market research amongst some of our users, and said if you had to put words onto a badge, what would it say? So they said, okay, we wanted partially sighted because that's what I am, I'm partially sighted. So from that, the badge evolved with the shaded eye symbol and then the words partially sighted, and it's still around today. And then we grew that and added that onto armbands that people can wear to say, visually impaired, please be aware, with the shaded eye symbol. We added it into a lanyard that someone can wear, that again, it's a shaded eye symbol with visually impaired, please be aware, or in fact, anything you want it to say, as long as it's not rude, because we print the inserts ourselves in-house. We've expanded it onto T-shirts, onto rucksacks, onto caps, onto beanies, onto swimming caps. And it's all about changing that conversation with people. It's the fact that sight loss is an invisible disability. And when you're out and about in a public arena, people don't recognise that you can't see. And if you bump into someone because you didn't see them, sometimes that can be a really awkward conversation, kind of like, look out, mate, where you going, didn't you see me, or something. So these items have a way of changing that conversation, and they have been hugely popular, I have to say. But I think Nickie and I are going to have a conversation about that today, is because it's not for everybody. So I think that's what we were going to do this podcast and talk about, wasn't it, Nickie?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think we're finding more and more people, aren't we, that kind of feel one way or the other, and there does tend to be a point in a person's sight loss, I'm going to use that word journey, apologies, but that journey where a person may go from being quite comfortable and open about wanting, the outside world to acknowledge that they've got a visual impairment or they're partially sighted, or they really don't want that message out there. They're not ready. The acceptance hasn't happened for them yet, and therefore they're not in a place where they want the kind of world to see them as somebody who's got a visual impairment. So it's a really difficult one, and I do feel that a lot of, in particular, the clients that I work with, it tends to be one or the other that we're dealing with. And once we can establish how and why they might be feeling the way they feel, then we can work to try and help them come to terms and change that. Because ultimately the symbol items are a tool, and they are a choice, they're optional. There's no kind of visual impairment starter kit that every person who receives a diagnosis, you must go out there and wear a badge and a lanyard and a white cane and whatever else is kind of there. But these tools are there for people to help make life that little bit easier and have better, you know, more educational, perhaps more fruitful conversations with society and the people around them.
I think, you know, as well as wearing badges and things, you know, obviously other means are long white canes and symbol canes and white symbol canes. When I did my training, one of the things that is very much apparent is as soon as you start using something that tells the outside world about your disability, you have to be prepared to engage with the public. And so as part of my training, one of the I spent every day for 6 months under blindfold and sort of out and about in the real world. And as much as you have to learn to accept help from people, is also about learning how to turn down help from people. Because as much, you know, when you're out there and you're saying to the world, this is me, this is my issue, so to speak, and people want to help you, sometimes you don't need that help. You know, famously being taken across the road when you actually didn't want to cross the road.
And there's also that, you know, I speak to people often about, I don't want to be pitied. You know, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for me, so therefore I don't want the rest of the world to feel sorry for me. And some of the conversation we then might have in a session is around, do you feel sorry for other people that you see out and about with these disabilities, these challenges? And when we get to the kind of bottom of that, actually what often comes through is that it's our own unconscious biases that we walk around with that then can impact the way we feel about the situation when it's us, when it's ourselves. And if you feel like that about you, then you project that onto the world around you, and that's natural. But it is about trying to get over that. And that's a lot of the work that I might do with a person, is helping them get to the bottom of it. Where do some of those biases come from? And then we can help that person move forward. And that might be, you know, broaching the subject of using one of the symbol items and actually just testing the water a little bit, experiment. And actually what we find is most people don't pity you. You know, most people are, you're right, they offer help often when you maybe don't need it or want it. but they are, you know, genuinely there to support. And you know, we have had people, haven't we, need to say, you know, I don't want to let people know because that makes me vulnerable. Absolutely fair. I think most of us would agree there's that element of it. But in practice, you know, in reality, it's a very rare case. It's the exception, not the rule, isn't it?
Absolutely. I just always remember the story of one of our clients who was a headmistress of a school, and she lost her vision, quite a degree of vision, quite in middle age. Very smart, very elegant lady, very intelligent, and so she came to us, you know, for support over the years. And she always said, I'm not using a badge, I'm not wearing a badge, even though she was experiencing difficulties and so on. And I think it was the one day she came to me, phoned me up and said to me, okay, Anita, I'll take a badge. She said,
begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly, she said, because somebody in Marks and Spencer's, a security guard in Marks and Spencer's, was following me around because she had a magnifier around her neck, which is decorated. She'd had it painted, so it didn't look like a magnifier, it looked like a necklace, you know, that's how. And so she was using her magnifier to peer at prices and things, and this security guard was getting really suspicious, and you made her really uncomfortable. So she felt, can't you see? I can't see. It's like, no, he can't, you know. So she came to me and she said, okay, I'll take a badge. a week later, she phoned me and said to me, "Okay, I want 5 badges, one for every coat." And now she's the biggest advocate of them. But she fought it for years and years and years and years.
It's a big step, isn't it, though? Yeah. You know, because, you know, there's that time period it takes for you to come to terms with whatever it is that's going on for you. And then to kind of feel like you're almost then advertising it is a next step. You know, it's a big leap. And it's how do we help somebody take that? And some people never get there, you know.
I'll tell you, people are there already immediately.
It's different for every person, isn't it? So we just kind of have to figure out where a person's at and work with what they are willing and not willing to sort of, you know, what tools are they wanting to use?
And it is a tool. And I know that a lot of the arguments saying, well, people don't take any notice of them anyway. And unfortunately, in this day and age, most of the people on the street are walking along with their heads in their phones. So we can't change that, but it's given a good shot at helping you when, you know, things do happen. I remember just in COVID, I started getting phone calls from people saying or shouting at me because I can't see to socially distance. So I thought, okay, let me do a lanyard that says vision impaired, I cannot see to socially distance. And I kind of got the idea on a Friday afternoon and just thought, oh, well, let me just pop it out on Facebook and see what the response is. And oh my God, on Monday when I came in, it was gone viral, and it was
hundreds. Only 2 people
and
in
it was
charity.
Only 2 of us in, and we couldn't get stock, and it was, but it just answered that need, and it made a big difference. And it's a choice, as in all things in life, it's a choice, isn't it? But this is, it's just one way of helping. We always say it changes that conversation.
And it's a way to help a person, I think, advocate for themselves, which feels so, for some people, it's impossible right at the beginning. You know, you're having lots of things taken away. You feel that you've lost control. You can't, you know, you can't be who you once was. And actually, this is a way for you to take back some of that control for some people. You know, it's not about necessarily being out there with it and proud and being the poster person for visual impairment, but it is about saying, you know, I'm taking some ownership of the challenge I know I've got, and I'm being responsible as best I can to let people know when I feel that's needed. But it should always be a choice. And the lovely thing about the symbol items that we stock is that you can take them off. It's not a tattoo. It's not on your forehead. You're not walking around with a big banner on your head that says, you know, permanently, I'm partially sighted. Which I think is great, because you can tuck it in, you can pop it in your pocket. You know, if you're on a train, sat down for 2 hours, take it off, doesn't matter. If you're kind of walking out and about in a busy street, great, pop it back on. You know, so it's not permanent.
That's great.
I think one of the other things as well, just going back to the reason for the partially sighted at the beginning, is most people don't understand like partial sight or sight loss. They think it's absolute, you either see or you don't. And so this is a way of kind of opening that conversation and saying, you know, well, I can see a little bit here, but I can't see there, you know. So, for example, if you've had a stroke and you've got a field loss, the armbands are really helpful because you can wear them on the side of the body where you've had the field loss. And it's, again, it's like changing that conversation. So if you accidentally, you know, bump into somebody on that side, it's like, oh, you know, because I didn't see you. You know, why? How come? You know what's going on?
It offers a reason for why this is happening. You know, we don't walk through life trying to bump into people or, you know, it gives that reason, doesn't it?
It's like tangible evidence to it, isn't it? It's a visible marker for people to start that conversation, isn't it? So
I think one of the other things that happens when you're wearing our badges and armbands and lanyards is wherever you go, people go, oh, that's a really good idea. Where did you get that from?
Our trustee, Peter, he's given away hundreds, hasn't he? He's our best customer. He's like, all right, I'll give one. Yeah, you can have this one. And then
he has to buy a new one.
He does. I think we're giving him a few free ones. In terms of, we say partial sight, it says partially sighted on it. What if people don't associate themselves with that. They don't identify themselves as partially sighted.
Oh, yeah, that we've just had a big conversation about that,
We
haven't we? How do
have.
people see themselves? So I suppose it is a tricky one. That we've actually, in recognition of how people see themselves and change in terminology, in terms of trends, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of our sight loss community would say that they're visually impaired or VIPs. So we're actually just produced a new badge which has a shaded eye symbol, which instead of saying partially sighted says visually impaired. If that's a way that you would prefer to be, identified as, and that's one for you. I mean, as Robin, one of our blind visually impaired trustees, says, who wouldn't want to be a VIP?
Well, yeah.
But that's the great thing, I think, with in particular the printed items as well, is that, however you identify, please approach us with that, because we understand that it's a very personal choice how you describe your own, diagnosis or sight loss. So, let us know.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's a sense of identity that you lose possibly with the sight loss. So that's that sense of control again. So it's something that you can control.
Yeah.
It's something you can choose to communicate to others.
Well, it's not all of who you are, but it does have to be a part of who you are. And I think that just this small reclaiming of that name and how you identify, I think really helps people psychologically in that kind of healing journey again, but I think it really does help people just get back to a little bit of a sense of self, inclusive of the sight loss, not rejecting of it.
Yeah,
that's fascinating actually. Yeah.
So we've also done the lanyards we do them in different languages. So if you're travelling overseas, that's a way of letting people in Spain that you know that you have a vision impairment. We do them that say hearing and sight impaired. You just need to talk to us and say, what is it you want. The badges are kind of fixed wording, but the lanyards and the armbands are
completely
very
fluid, aren't they? Yeah.
Customizable. As long as it's not rude.
No, that's true. Yes.
And if there are any other kind of items that people are thinking that they might would like to see, definitely kind of float those ideas to us, because we've launched quite a few new products more recently. The beanie's quite recent. The t-shirt for the gym. The kind of and they've all come from customer feedback.
Things like the swimming caps as well. That was a customer feedback idea, I think, as well.
Ask us and we'll look into it. See what we can do. We like a challenge, don't we?
Do. It's about what's helpful.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we don't know if you don't tell us. So.
Yeah. Give us a call.
Yeah, so give us a call or email us. It's reception@parkside.org.uk. So I think that's a really good place to wrap it up for now. So just say thank you very much, Anita. Thank you, Nickie, for joining us today.
Welcome. Thank you, Sean.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.